we are at the trailhead of the Hummocks Trail at Mount Saint Helens. It is May 18th. Today marks the 40th anniversary of the lateral blast of Mount Saint Helens. I say of the lateral blast because there were small eruptions before the lateral blast, but the lateral blast is the one that caused all the devastation and cost people their lives. So today we want to hike on the Hummocks Trail. Our goal is Lewitt Viewpoint, but this trail is prone to washouts, so we'll see how far we get. But it looks like a good day for this hike, so come along. Let's hike together. Here we are headed out on the trail, and here's our trail sign. It's a half-mile to the boundary trail junction. That's the one we want to take because we're headed to Lewitt Viewpoint. Here's our first glimpse of Mount Saint Helens as we start along the trail. I want to point out that in this area, as we're hiking along, we're hiking through a lot of alder, and alders were the first tree to come back after the devastation of this area. As we start out, we pass by these little ponds along the way. Don't see any ducks or anything in them right now. Here we have some blue lupin growing. Like we're going to have some wild strawberries a little later in the spring. This is kind of interesting. Got this old tree that was blasted into the ground, just shows a little bit of the magnitude of that lateral blast on May 18th, 1980. We're coming up to our junction here. And when we come up to the junction, we have a pretty good view of Mount Saint Helens. A little bit of cloud cover over the top, but still a pretty good view. Here's our sign. We're headed on the boundary point. If we make it to Lewitt Viewpoint, it'll be 3 3/4 miles. One more look at that view of the mountain. And let's keep going. Well, this was really unexpected. Got some Canadian geese here. That's pretty cool. Here we're hitting our first real uphill hike. Well, our trail's leveled out, so I thought I'd stop and we can take in the view of the mountain for a few seconds. Okay, time to stop for a short break because I'll show you where we're headed. We're headed to the top of that ridge, and I think you can see the trail cut into the side of it. So from this point on till we get to the top of that ridge, it's onward and upward. So time to stop to have a drink of water and get rid of a shirt because it's going to get warm. Here we are back on the trail again. Onward and upward. Thought we'd stop and look at the view of the Toutle River, the hummocks below, and of course, there's Mount Saint Helens. Oh, wanted to show you right here, have an old piece of choker cable. Just evidence of the logging that was taking place up here right before and up to the time that Mount Saint Helens erupted in 1980. We'll stop here for a few seconds and take a rest, and just want to point out there is a glacier growing in the crater of the mountain. To my knowledge, it is the only growing glacier in the continental United States. And I just heard recently the reason they believe it's growing is because of the shade it gets from the crater. And we'll take a quick scan down at the hummock plain below us and the Toutle River. I thought this would be a good place for us to stop and point out that right down there is Coldwater Lake. As we pan around, right down there is about where we started out. And looking down this hill, you can see the blasted out stumps and just get somewhat of an idea of the magnitude of that lateral blast that took place May 18th, 1980. Once again, onward and upward. Again, another field of blasted out stumps. Here's an old stump with the choker still attached to it. Here are some of the logs that were blasted out in 1980. It's good to see all these new fir trees growing. Evidence of renewal. Oh yeah, and there's the mountain. This doesn't look too bad. Just have to put the hiking stick in the right hand. Got a few rocks we're going to have to go over. Stop at this little viewpoint here, little side trail. Show you there's Coldwater Peak. Come around and there's Johnston Ridge. You can see part of the observatory. And we'll see if you can make it out because Spirit Lake is down there. It's a ways out and probably just see a little bit of it. And then come around and there's Mount Saint Helens. See if I can zoom in and you see the lava dome. right down here, and you wouldn't think it would be that low. But right down there is a glacier. Come around and we can see the hummock plains below us. I believe that way out there is Castle Lake. Anyway, we're getting close to Lewitt Viewpoint, so let's keep going. There's another chipmunk popped out to say hello. Hey there, Chippy. And here we are at Lewitt Viewpoint. We have reached our destination. Here we are at the Lewitt Viewpoint. Almost time to head back down, but before that, time for a little snack, a little water, a little rest. And if there's anything interesting on the way down, I'll point that out to you. Just talked to a guy who works for the Forest Service, and he said if we go up to Johnston Ridge, there's a chance we might see some mountain goats. So I think we can do 3/4 of a mile more. Let's go. Ah, here's a gold-mantled ground squirrel getting some grass. Ah, here's another bluebird. Wow, up by Johnston Ridge, there's still a little bit of snow on the ground. Oh, and by the way, there's Coldwater Peak right in front of us. There's our mountain goats. That one looks like it might be a young one. Well, getting a little rain, time to head back down. Here we are back at Lewitt Viewpoint from Johnston Ridge, and we've lost the mountain to the clouds. And a little bit of rain, few raindrops, hardly enough to get you wet, but such is hiking in the Northwest. Here we are back at the trailhead, and that was the hike from the Hummocks Trail to Lewitt Viewpoint and beyond to Johnston Ridge. I hope you enjoyed this hike, and let's do this again sometime.